episode a while that you're watching Post to Post.
Hey, and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams, and this is the kind of video that I really like to do. I like discussing plays and suspensions and hits and stuff. It's one of my favorite things to do. One of my least favorite things is to see a player sucker punch another player. So Zac Rinaldo thought that, you know what, I think it's a good idea if I punch this person in the face when they're not prepared to take the punch, just randomly. I'm not okay with that. And if you haven't seen the play, I'm going to link it down in the description or in a pinned comment for you to click on and go see yourself. And then maybe come back and watch this video and hear my thoughts. Now, before I say anything else, I don't think I'm right with anything I'm about to say. It's just how I feel. If you like Zac Rinaldo, that's totally fine. I'm not saying that he's a terrible person. I'm just not very favorable of him as a hockey player. So this is a subjective opinion here. And I want to go through his career a little bit on this piece of paper before I get into any opinions. There'll be a few opinions in here. In Zac Rinaldo's career, he's a minus 54 in 306 games played. He's got 30 points. So let's just go back over that just briefly. In 306 games, he has 30 points. Okay, Zac Rinaldo isn't the most offensively gifted player. 30 points in 306 games is pretty abysmal, even for a not offensively gifted player. So you could argue that maybe he's a really good defensive player. He's a minus 54. I don't think any good defensive player is a minus 54 in 306 games played. It just doesn't happen. If you can find a player and give me an example in the comments and prove me wrong, I mean, by all means, I'm happy to be proved wrong. I just, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone. Now, of the 30 points he has in the 306 games, of the 306 games played, 25 of those he has been suspended for, including this 6-game suspension. So you're telling me that Zac Rinaldo has only 5 more points than games he's been suspended in 306 total games. That's unacceptable. I'm not sure how this guy even still has, like, why do people keep signing this guy? It doesn't seem like he learns his lesson, and I'm going to prove that by going through his suspension history. But first, I want to give a quote that Rinaldo said earlier this year on September 27th, 2017. And this is an interview done as an Arizona Coyotes player. He had just joined the team at the time, and the season had not started yet. It was during training camp. "I'm here to be a leader and to lead by example." That's a quote from Zac Rinaldo. After the suspension that we've just seen, I'm not sure I've witnessed any leader in the league sucker punch another player like that. Leaders command respect, and they give respect. There was nothing respectful about what Rinaldo did. Leading by example by sucker punching someone in the face is unacceptable. I love fighting in the National Hockey League. I know that's not a popular opinion with many of you out there, but I'm a fan of it. I'm also a fan of big giant hits, clean hits. However, I'm not a fan of sucker punching someone in the face when they're not expecting it. There's a difference between fighting in the NHL, which is there's a code. It's about respect, even though you're punching each other in the face. It's a battle. It's even. There's nothing even about punching someone in the face when they're not prepared to receive a punch. It's completely different. Now, I don't just want to talk bad about Zac Rinaldo. It's not fair. I want to talk about some of his positives as well, and I wrote some down. He can play both sides of center. He can play either wing, and he's good at transitioning on the ice. He is. I'm not just saying that just to for balance. These are legitimate things that I've wrote down that I actually do feel. He can be a good skater at times. He can be a really fast skater. He finishes his checks. Most of the time, they're not dirty, but when he does finish them and they're clean, I love to see that. I love to see players finishing their checks. And he has lots of energy. That's true. He does have a lot of energy. I think he does bring a lot of energy to his line mates and his team. So those are his positives, in my opinion. Now I want to go over his suspension history and his fine history. In February 4th, 2012, he was fined $5,000 by the NHL. This was his first infraction outside of the game, or his first slap on the wrist outside of the game as in a penalty in the NHL career. So $5,000 on February 4th. February 13th, 2012, he was suspended for 2 games. April 7th, 2014, he was suspended for 4 games. January 26th, 2015, he was suspended 8 games for his hit from behind on Letang. Now, I put an asterisk next to this one because I actually don't agree with this suspension. I don't agree with the amount of games in this suspension. You can find it on YouTube. The play's there. Zac Rinaldo hit Letang in the numbers, and I think some of the blame has to do with Letang because he got rid of the puck and he just stayed against the glass with his back turned. I think he knew that Zac Rinaldo was coming and he didn't get out of the way. He could have gotten out of the way. So I agree that Zac Rinaldo didn't let up. He took a stride and hit Letang on purpose pretty hard. Definitely deserved a suspension. Maybe 2 games, 3 games, 4 games at the most. I think 8 games. I think that was too much. So I think that was a little harsh on Ronaldo there. But it was still a dirty hit. March 1st, 2016, he was suspended 5 games. March 1st, 2016, same day, fined $51,829 by the NHL. October 3rd, 2017, suspended for 5 games. December 27th, suspended 6 games. December 27th also fined $22,580 by the NHL. You know what this tells me? This tells me that this player does not learn his lesson. How can someone be suspended 25 games and be fined over $70,000 total and still continue to do these antics? It's ridiculous. I don't like to see it in the game. And here's how this goes. There's a decision-making process in your brain. Say you're at work and you see your coworker, and he really annoys you. Oh, man, I really don't like the way he laughs. I really hate when he smacks when he eats. I hate how lazy he is and how much work he doesn't do. He just sits there and does nothing all day. It's really frustrating. I think I want to punch him in the face. I'm going to punch him in the face. Then there's the switch in your head. I can't punch him in the face. I can't punch him in the face because it's, number one, and most importantly, it's not the right thing to do. And number 2, there's consequences. Here's how Zac Rinaldo thinks. In my opinion. How can he not think this way? I don't like your face. I'd like to punch you in the face. I'm going to punch you in the face. Here's where the switch is supposed to come in. I've just punched you in the face. I don't care about the consequences because I'm Zac Rinaldo and I'm a beast. He doesn't have that switch in his brain that tells him this is not a good idea because the consequences aren't worth it, let alone it's not a good idea because it's just not the right thing to do. If you hit a player like McKinnon, like what happened, which I think was a clean hit actually, and another player comes in to protect McKinnon, which I don't like. I would have liked to see McKinnon protect himself, which he wanted to do. He just didn't have a chance to get at Ronaldo. If a player comes in and Ronaldo is willing to answer for what he did, even though I believe it was clean, he should pay respect to that player and, drop the gloves. Hey, you want to go? You want to tussle? Totally fine. Let's do it. Drop the gloves and have a little tussle. To disrespect the player as he's skating up, and Gerard had his hands down, and just to come over and sucker punch the guy. He's missing that switch, and a few other players have missed that switch too in the league over the past 30 years. There's endless examples of these players who don't have that switch. Sean Avery didn't have that switch, and Sean Avery is one of the nicest guys off of the ice. Super nice guy. He's actually pretty successful off the ice too. However, on the ice, Avery did not have that decision-making switch that said, hey, this is a good idea, or hey, this isn't a good idea. Ronaldo's in one of these situations. He's got 6 games in his recent suspension, which in my opinion is too little. I don't understand how you can have someone suspended 19 games in his career fined over $50,000 at the time, and look at this sucker punch and say, okay, let's give him 22,000 and 6 games. That'll teach him a lesson. Clearly it won't. You need to punish this guy more. You need to either A, fine him a ridiculous amount of money, because he doesn't make a lot of money, so if you fine him a lot of money, that hurts his personal life. Or B, fine him an extreme amount of games, like 20 or something like that. Now, you fine him 20 games, let him appeal it, give him 12 or something like that. But you need to put the fear in his eyes. You need to teach him the lesson. Handing out these 5-6 game suspensions clearly is not sending the message to Zac Rinaldo. So I don't know what the right decision is, or I don't know what the NHL thinks its right decision is, but in my opinion, it's not the right decision. Now, like I said at the beginning, I'm not saying I'm right. It's just how I feel. I'm not a fan of Zac Rinaldo. Fairly nice guy off the ice. Not really anything against him personal off the ice. Don't like his on-ice antics and decision-making. I don't like to see that type of stuff in the National Hockey League. Now, I know that there's going to be some people who agree with me because they're not a fan of fighting in the league. In general, they don't like to see that stuff at all. And I know that there's going to be people who disagree with me in the comment section and dislike the video. That's completely fine. This is YouTube. I can share my opinion for free and open. It's completely viewable by anyone in the world. And that's the fun of this, where you can come and disagree with me or agree with me. Hey, Neil, I agree with you. I really like what you said in that video. Thanks for making that video. Neil, I disagree with that video. I'm not a fan of your opinion, but you know, this is what the point is. So at least I respect your opinion, but I completely disagree with it. I love to see those comments. If you want to disagree with me, just do it respectful. That's awesome. Just don't be a jerk about it, because I mean, we're all friends here. This is hockey. We're all hockey fans. There's no reason to be disrespectful like that. So, guys, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it. If you're new here, hope you can hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.